What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to a little live stream here on the Josh Macuga Show YouTube channel. We're calling this ATHGEEK. It's just a combination of a battle between athletes and our favorite geek people. I'm welcoming in my good buddy all the way from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He's the man, the myth, the legend, host of Off the Bench, ESPN in Baton Rouge. It's T-Bob Hebert.
Yo, Josh, thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Very happy to be here.
Of course.
Very excited to dive into some of these matchups. And I got to say, man, I knew we were doing this. Finally got my act together, and I watched a couple episodes of Eating History. And it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, the first episode, I'm kind of like, it's like, okay, first off, I don't know how y'all choose like what will kill you versus what won't kill you, but the first episode I was kind of cracking up because everything was like, yeah, that's not good. That tastes like it's 80 years old. Yeah. My mouth. I will say though, I'm a fan of history and the story tidbits, the American history that you get through the food is pretty fantastic.
Right. Like, I think that I was watching this past week. So the first 3 weeks were back-to-back episodes, and then the next 4 weeks are single episodes. And I was watching it with Amanda, and I kind of like said to myself, I really enjoy this show. Like, and it's not just because I'm on it. Like, I'm enjoying the show with all the history. I think that tasting it is one part of it, but for this part, man, it's a lot of fun.
And then is that what I always, yeah, you broke up for a second, but is that what I always hear? Is that a Yinzer accent that your boy Old Smokey has? Is that what that is?
No, he's from West Virginia. But
okay, so that's okay. So what is that? I can't even imitate it. You had a cooking video the other day where you were doing a hard accent. What accent was that?
That's Pittsburgh. That is Pittsburgh.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, see, so to my southern ear, that West Virginia and Pittsburgh, it sounds a bit like South Africa and Australia. Like, I know you probably think it's completely different, but in my mind, they sounded very similar.
Yeah, no, it's like people sometimes when they hear me do Pittsburgh think that I'm speaking in an Australian accent. I'm like, no, that's not. We got some people in the chat. This is good stuff. Let's set some rules here for ATHGEEK. This is the first time we're doing this. And I figure there's no better person to bring into on the first, effort of this than one T-Bob Hebert. Is basically we're taking our favorite geek characters and we're putting them against athletes. In like, I would say it's like a street fighting kind of match, right? Yeah. Like we're putting athletes and a geek character in a street fighting brawl. We're giving them their powers, but one like use of power can't automatically take them out. Like this is
I almost did you ever play the video game Injustice? I almost treat it like Injustice rules where obviously Joker couldn't go toe to toe with Superman just if all power levels were equal, but I can't remember the exact narrative hook that Injustice uses, but you just have to accept that these normal athletes, they're going to be almost like superhuman versions of themselves. And I think it's going to get pretty interesting when you watch some of these guys go toe to toe with each other.
I think that in like the terms of Injustice and all that and games like that, and or just like in real life, is we basically give them somewhat of a superpower. Like, let's just say, for instance, I was just watching the Arnold Palmer like 3-part documentary series on Golf Channel. Right? Wow. Like, let's just say we put Arnold Palmer versus Magneto. Now, listen, Magneto can control metal, but he can't control woods, and he can't control golf balls because there's no metal in them.
Yeah, so, that's completely fair. So Arnold Palmer's just fucking firing golf balls at Magneto's head.
Exactly.
I don't know if, well, I don't know. I was going to say Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, like what level of golfer do I have to think you have to be to take on a power of the force of Magneto?
Yes, exactly.
Maybe like Woods, like, I don't know. Okay. So how do you want to dive into this thing?
So here, first of all, Hitman Hudson says the Joker decided to play it on easy mode and fight Superman instead because Superman was easier to torment psychologically. Okay. All right. We'll take
No,
that.
I mean, look, the Joker did what a lot of, I think, bad Superman stories have done. And I mean, like bad Superman, like, you know, kind of evil Superman is, yeah, you can't physically overpower him. So he convinced Superman that he killed Lois Lane. And obviously that drove Superman completely insane, proves Joker's point, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, he took advantage of the meathead through his cunning. It's a bit like Killing Joke gone all the way.
Well, it's sort of like it's like Black Widow in the Avengers movie. She doesn't exactly have a superpower, but mentally she's probably the strongest of all of them, right? Isn't that like
the ultimate overachiever? Black Widow, Hawkeye. I mean, really, probably Batman is the ultimate overachiever, going toe to toe. It's a nice sheen of green. That's like a bunch of my old teammates as just a kind of sheltered, chubby white kid growing up. I had never been introduced to the sweat rag before I got to college and started going out with some of my teammates. And yeah, sure enough, just throw the towel in the back pocket. You get out there, you're grinding, you're sweating. You don't want to look weird, so you just pop it out and just dab. It's like a doctor in surgery. You're
correct. It's my dad. I remember him dropping me off at college and being like, "Hey, here's a couple bandanas and handkerchiefs. Bring them to the club. Macuga, and you're going to sweat."
Oh my God. I know, it's so funny. I never really think about the practical application of bandanas and handkerchiefs. I solely growing up thought about them as accessories for dressing up like a cowboy or like a robber, playing cowboys and robbers. That's the only use they had for me.
So if you're in the chat right now and you guys want to throw like some characters and athletes first, just a shout out to Ryan Berzamato, who's threw in $5 in the super chat. Thanks, Ryan. You're the man.
Oh, hell yeah, Ryan.
If you guys want to throw some characters in there, you know, and you want to donate in the super chat, we'd very much appreciate it. We've already got a couple in there. We will do those at the end, rapid fire style, and we'll go from there. I know my wife's in the background. She's very excited about this.
Yo, Amanda, what's up? What's going on? I don't even know if you can hear me.
Hey, T-Bob.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Perfect. Great to hear from you, Amanda. Hope all is well.
Okay, so let's start with well, let's go with one of yours first. Why don't we start with one of T-Bob's first?
All right. Okay. You want me to pick? All right. Let's start then. Let's go big here off the bat. The one that I've been thinking about a lot this afternoon, which is Tom Brady versus Aragorn. When you are talking about leaders of men, Josh Macuga, does it get better than Tom Brady versus Aragorn, the heir of Elendil, the last hope of the West, a man who, despite, and I'm talking about Aragorn, of course, but you may think I'm talking about Brady, who, despite all the odds, leads humans against overwhelming odds. And it's to me, what I have always loved about Aragorn is he was valiant in the face of death. He knew that that last fight was hopeless, but he also knew what he had to do so Frodo could finish the mission. Tom Brady right now is engaged in a similar battle versus Father Time. He knows it's hopeless, but he's going to keep on pushing till the very end. He's now in Tampa. Brady versus Breeze twice a year. Tom Brady, Aragorn squaring up. Who do you think draws first blood?
Okay, so I think that Aragorn may have the greatest growth in a 3-movie series in the history of movies. At the beginning, he's just a hooded figure in a bar, right? Helping a couple of short little big-footed men on their way, okay? By the second one, you trust that man with the kingdom. And by the third time, you trust that man with the entirety of Middle-earth, okay? Tom Brady left an entire community. They were the New England Patriot faithful were nothing before Brady. They were nothing. They just like the Red Sox. And he led them to championship after championship, supermodel after supermodel, receiver after slot receiver. And now he's moved on. It's like leaving Middle Earth and moving to like one of the places in Game of Thrones that we never saw an episode, like the Gardens of Dorne. They're just hanging out there.
Wait, hold on. Now, the only thing is, I think I would say this. I think you're being. I don't think you're giving credit for what Tom Brady. You mentioned it, but you say he left them behind. He gave them everything. He gave New England everything they could have wanted. He can give them no more. Like when Aragorn had to save Rohan from the Uruk-hai and Helm's Deep, like Tom Brady saved New England. He gave him that legacy. And now, as I said, he has a bigger battle. He's been called to bigger and better things. He is battling against age itself, the ultimate enemy. He has ascended past human enemies even at this point. And much like Aragorn ended up kind of by the end as well, including battling his personal demons, taming the army of the dead. So no, I see no betrayal in Brady. I just see the next step to his ascendancy. He's following a bit in the same. The only difference, I do agree, I think Brady burst onto the scene a bit more than Aragorn did. Maybe Brady's a bit more like book Aragorn, where movie Aragorn's a very reluctant hero. Book Aragorn's like, well, fuck yeah, I'm the chosen one. I've just been kind of like training up to this point. Now it's time. Let's do this. Give me my sword.
Yeah, like I feel like they're both introduced in the same kind of way. Middle Earth is in bad shape. New England is in bad shape.
Yeah, that's fair.
All bruised, and they're forced into the position. They didn't volunteer for the position. They were forced into the position. And they take, whether it's a sword or a football. Okay, so let's just say we're going battle and battle. Obviously, Aragorn is an incredible swordsman. Tom Brady can throw anything and hit anybody, no matter who they are. The slowest receivers, the fastest receivers, deep balls, 20-yard outs, bubble screens, whatever it is. So Tom Brady has this arm of destiny, whereas Aragorn has the sword of destiny. Not to rip off a Arrested Development situation. If I'm going with somebody that I think can, in the face of impending doom, I'm going to take Aragorn, mostly because when Tom Brady was up against the Giants twice, right? And you got to figure there's definitely giants in the Lord of the Rings world. There's not,
that's fair. That's questionable, but the fact that Giants is fantasy trip, yeah, we'll allow it. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. When he was getting, Hitman Hudson just put in exploding footballs. Well said. When the odds were stacked totally in Brady's favor, he totally lost it all. 18-0 going into that Super Bowl, and they got in his face all game, and he couldn't do anything. That's kind of like if Helm's Deep fell. If Helm's Deep fell.
Okay, that's a fair point. I guess why you're kind of winning me over to your side as well is that when you're talking about Aragorn, you're talking about someone whose legacy is blameless, with things like Spygate and some of the other allegations that have brushed under Tom Brady. It definitely feels a little greasier. It feels like maybe some dark deals were made. Also, Bill Belichick seems less like Gandalf and far more like Sauron. Like maybe Tom Brady's actually a Nazgul. I don't know. Is he might be the Witch King. And then I don't know who is Giselle, then Eowyn. I don't know. But I would, okay, here's the thing. But Aragorn, if we're talking about the actual fight, Aragorn's going to struggle to close the distance. He's got the footballs being thrown at him. And then when he goes to strike Brady, the pocket presence is next level. A little shuffle step, a little duck of the shoulder, a little slide. He's just going to be dodging Aragorn left and right.
I will say in like close-up hand-to-hand combat, I don't know who I take more. Is it Aragorn or is it Tom Brady's ability to really get things off in the clutch? You're wagging your finger.
Hold on. There's a great point in the chat by Trevor Madison. Aragorn, being the last of the Dunedain, or one of the last of the Dunedain, is 87 years old. So the experience, we mentioned battling with Father Time. Tom Brady wishes he could be Aragorn. He wishes he could have that lifespan where already he's 80 in the story. So yeah, I think that's it. Look, I think between the age advantage and the fact that he is nearly truly blameless is Aragorn. I'm going to give him the win in this situation. I think he manages to block the footballs. I think Brady puts up a good defense, but in the end, Andriel rings true, and he strikes down Brady.
I agree. I'm siding Aragorn as well. I think we both agree that Giselle has elvish-like qualities and will forever be that good looking until the day she dies 10,000 years from now.
Now, Hitman Hudson, I mean, with some blasphemy in the chat here, though, the Wheel of Time is better than Lord of the Rings anyway. If you like hearing how to calm yourself and focus millions upon millions of times and finding the flame, then yeah, I guess Wheel of Time is better. I don't know. It's not. 4 times in my life I've gotten to book 5 of Wheel of Time only to fall off. It's too much. I can't do it.
What books are they?
I believe there's 13. R.I.P. Robert Jordan. I think Sanderson had to finish them. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Wow. That's a lot of books. And what is Amazon doing, the Wheel of Time show?
Amazon is doing a Lord of the Rings show that they have already put $1 billion into in pre-production. Committed $1 billion with a B.
I mean, it'll get numbers.
It'll get numbers. I mean, but that's where it gets kind of interesting. In the age of streaming, what does it have to do to justify that price tag, right? Like, is it new subscribers? Is it just like they're just going to count it as a win because like a bunch of people watched it? Like, I don't know how the direct that payoff is.
It's like they don't have to justify numbers. Do you know what I'm saying? There's no, it's Lord of the Rings, man. We're talking about.
They just need people to watch.
Correct. And they're going to get a huge number of people watching that show.
Fuck yeah, bro. That's my dream, man. I mean, I don't know. That, like I said, that's my favorite IP ever. Hitman Hudson corrected me as well. It's 14 books plus a novella. Wheel of Time is. Robert Jordan was a beast.
Exactly. As I told Amanda to stop fluffing pillows in the background, the chat was like, Amanda no show, at it again. This is the one I was thinking of, a lot yesterday. I wanted to get, and I loved you when you asked me if this is how you pronounce it, but this is Brienne of Tarth versus Sabrina Ionescu, who is the University of Oregon basketball player.
Yes.
Basically kind of made Connecticut a moot point. UConn girls basketball, women's basketball has been an absolute they are the New England Patriots on steroids. They're Alabama on steroids, if we're being honest.
They're above. They're to me, their only rival is something like the old John Wooden UCLA teams.
Totally. And then in comes this. I mean, she's incredible. I think she's the only person in the history of women's college basketball to have a quadruple double in multiple games. So you're talking about, and she's big too, just like Brienne of Tarth. These are tall women that can own it. And there's very few women in the game that can go up against men and I think totally compete. And I think Sabrina Ionescu is one of those, the way that she plays the game. I don't watch a ton of women's basketball, but when I listen to commentators and people talk about it, she's one of the few they've ever said that she could go up against men, no problem, and hold her up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, dude. I mean, if you ever watched like WNBA players messing with kind of your playground superstars, it's hilarious because, okay, so that's the thing, right? And if you're being honest with yourself, a lot of the guys out there listening, in your brain, you still don't accept that if you played this girl one-on-one, you would get your ass whipped. A lot of people do. But a lot of people, you're just thinking like, no, like if it's like, no, you would get run. She would run everybody. And why that's so appropriate is because, I read all the Game of Thrones books in college while I was actually playing football. So sometimes my memories can get a bit hazy, but when we first meet Brienne, she wins a melee tournament, a giant melee with all the men. And of course, and she's kind of the masked knight at the time. So I guess people weren't underestimating her, but in the same way that you think you're going to go and you're going to back down Sabrina Ionescu, you're going to get owned just like Brienne owned all those guys.
It's kind of like, you think that, like you think personally, I mean, I'm probably would be in the same weight class within like 15 pounds of somebody like a Ronda Rousey, right? When she was, right? She would absolutely destroy me. There's no way that Sabrina Ionescu doesn't just own 99% of men on a basketball court. There's just no way. Do you remember back in the day when Pat Summitt, she basically started that trend of the women's basketball team playing against men. Like that was how they practiced.
No, I don't remember that, but yeah, there you go, man. I mean, it's because, like you said, you just don't. I don't know. Sometimes we have too much pride in that regard, especially as an ex-athlete myself. I kept myself like, oh, I could win that race, and then you lose a couple of those things you learn real quick. Ryan raised a good point. Brienne did whip the Hound, but that said, Brienne of Tarth is very powerful, an incredible melee fighter. But when you're talking about an SQ, you're talking about someone truly singular. Yeah. Right, you are talking about the chosen one, the prophet, or not the prophet, but the Messiah of sorts. The NCAA's, I looked this up earlier. The NCAA's all-time leader in triple doubles, only player ever with 2,000 points, 1,000 boards, 1,000 assists, 3-time Pac-12 Player of the Year. Like Brienne's great. Yeah. Brienne she's elite, but Sabrina's up there in the God mode territory. She would be battling to ascend to Valhalla like Brady, like these others. So I'm going with Sabrina in this one.
I'm taking Sabrina as well, mostly because I think that there is a singular athleticism that we don't see in Brienne of Tarth. Great with a sword, a great knight, that kind of stuff. I think I'm going to go full sports guy here. She's got those intangibles that maybe Brienne doesn't have. She's got the jump, she's got the leap. Okay, she's got high motor.
Yep.
I would also say this is there aren't many singular players out there can make me care about a sport that I would generally not care about, right?
That's true. Must watch. They're must watch people.
I don't watch a ton of NBA. I know you do. You're a New Orleans Pelicans guy. Pittsburgh didn't have an NBA team. I know I live in Los Angeles. But I would watch Zion Williamson anytime he's playing basketball. Yes.
And that was actually one of the matchups that I have right here is Zion Williamson versus who, when I did my New Orleans Pelicans compared to the Avengers, the guy that I gave him, we're talking Zion versus the Hulk, dude. Raw power on raw power, untapped potential. Now, this is Zion as Green Hulk, right? Eventually, when he gets more experienced and he starts to understand the nuances of the NBA and he's in great shape and he knows his body and he's not 18 years old putting up like 25 a game, eventually he'll become Gray Hulk. He'll become Intelligent Hulk, where he mixes the brains of Banner with the strength of Hulk. But for now, he's just raw. He's unleashed. And it's like Thor Ragnarok. It's Zion Williamson entering the arena, and there's the Hulk on the other side.
That's my friend. I know him.
Okay? Exactly. So, I like shockwaves. They're going to do that Dragon Ball Z thing where every time they hit in the air, you just see shockwaves burst out.
Yes. This is when in the actual video game, Hulk shows up, Zion shows up, they're on a basketball court. Like that's clearly where the fight takes place. That's Zion's home fighting arena is a sick basketball court. And he can like summon the power of the original NBA Jam where he'd get 3 points and then he's on fire and he's dunking basketballs on fire. And he's like, you would imagine in a video game what you're giving, the powers you're giving to Zion Williamson are the powers that Hulk already has. This is like, you remember Legend of Zelda in the first Nintendo? The second game was Link, and to win the game, you had to beat your shadow. Yeah. Zion is the human version of Hulk, whereas Bruce Banner, take him out of the equation. You just have Hulk versus Zion. This is the most even matchup we've had thus far.
I know. It's tough to pick a winner. I mean, because even their power sets, ultra strength, ultra speed, both don't have the ability to fly, but they have the ability to jump. So essentially, it looks as if they can fly. I don't really know exactly where I stand. I will say this about Zion, maybe compared to Hulk, and maybe I'm doing the Hulk a disservice. I grew up a DC kid, so my Marvel knowledge is not necessarily where my DC knowledge is, but I do feel that Zion maybe is a bit more rounded in his skill set because he can shoot a little bit. He is very athletic. It's a little more than just raw strength. And so I'm also just probably biased, but my early lean is Zion here just because he's going to get a little crafty with the Hulk, who's more of just like a pure rage type of guy.
I think Trevor Madison says it really well. I think this is two questions: who would win in a fight, and who would win in basketball one-on-one? Well said, Trevor. I think here's the thing: is up close. My favorite character since day one has always been Hulk. So I'm going to side Hulk on this. But I think I texted you immediately when you got that first round pick, when you got the first overall pick, knowing Zion was going to come to the Pelicans, because I've loved watching Zion Williamson play basketball, because he looks like me when I was in 6th grade. I was a fat kid who could only rebound. Now Zion can obviously dunk like a madman, and he can shoot from outside now. But I've always had man, I really like how Zion Williamson plays basketball. But for me, when somebody says, if you could be any superhero, it's Hulk. My brother painted me with green highlighters when I was a kid. I've loved Hulk since day one. And I'm siding with Hulk on this one. And it really goes back to the first Avengers when he just smashes Loki like this.
It's fair. I mean, that's fair. Ultimately, and this is where I don't know. I got in a huge Marvel argument the other day, trying to say that Hulk is more powerful than Thor, only for people to prove me wrong. But I am kind of with you. Like, when I think about the Hulk, I think that if it comes down to just a straight street fight, that eventually his rage wins out in the end. Yeah. Like you can get shots on him, you can do damage, but all that damage ever does is just piss him off more, and eventually he overcomes. So, okay, you know what? Zion's still young, and Hitman Hudson, you're absolutely wrong. RJ Barrett is not going to have a better career. You're insane. And so, yeah, okay. Well, I got no problem giving the dub to Hulk here after talking it out.
Okay. I'm sure you wondered why I pitted these two people when you saw my list, and I'm going to go back to the Lord of the Rings world, because you are wearing your Gandalf hat. And for those listening right now, you got to realize something about the one, the only T-Bob Hebert. The man spent his honeymoon, the entire honeymoon, in the Shire.
Yeah, I went to New Zealand on a 10-day Lord of the Rings tour, which, in retrospect, it was my first time traveling that far out the country. 10-day tour by bus may have been a little aggressive, but we made some friendships and had some experiences that we never would have had otherwise. If you've never been the youngest people by 15 to 20 years on your 10-day tour, then, I mean, have you really lived? Okay, I learned a lot. It was fantastic. And there was one other, this English cat, Eric. I love that guy. He was close to my age. We really bonded. But no, my favorite part of that entire trip, and really, if I ever went back, this is the only thing I would do again, is in Mata, New Zealand. They have the Shire set completely built out year round, including the Green Dragon and the interior of the Green Dragon. So when you go, you get to go in the Green. I've had a pint in the Green Dragon at the bar. Yeah. And I smoked my 13-inch maple or 18-inch maple pipe underneath the party tree. So it was an incredible trip if you're a Lord of the Rings nerd.
Dude, that sounds pretty legendary. Listen, if I'm going to New Zealand, I'm going to the Shire. I'm going out of my way to go to the
Mata. And the entire country. That is one thing. The tour, it really gives you an idea of why Peter Jackson just grew up reading Lord of the Rings. He could see it all around him, because we went from the northern tip of the country all the way to the southern tip, and you see every different type of ecological setting that you could imagine. So yeah, man, I one day when I'm older will make it back to the Shire. It's it'll be a bit like a pilgrimage for me back to Mecca.
You got to bring Alice, because you're truly training her to love Lord of the Rings. I can see it. Her dressed as Rey when you guys were in Galaxy's Edge was just awesome.
And you know what's so funny? She just seems to take to all of it. Now she's so young, but she does so many. She loves miniatures like I do. She just sits there and stares at miniatures for hours, the same way that I used to. It's just, it's wild how now it's because that would be I don't care if my kids like sports at all. What would break my heart would be if I couldn't nerd out with them. Like, I have dreams of DMing D&D games for my daughters and their friends. And if they don't ever want to do that, I'm going to be really sad. We're going to have to get on here and play Dungeons and Dragons, because I need to be able to run them through games on Saturdays in the future.
I love that idea. That was the cool thing. My dad and I, obviously being a Pittsburgh kid, bonded over sports, Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, whatever it is. But I don't think we bonded as much as we all did when we first watched Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. obviously because his dad's in the picture, and then went back Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, because my first movie memory is Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade. That's my first.
That's movie. A great first memory. And you know what? Last Crusade, one of the rare trilogies where the end cap is probably my favorite movie. Actually, I'm not Temple of Doom. I agree with a lot of the criticism. It is a little dark. I like it, but it's not my favorite. But yeah, I think Last Crusade's actually probably my favorite indie.
It's come on, it's incredible. It's so good. All right, let's move on. Let's do so this one.
Wait, is this true, Ryan Berzamato? If Josh's children don't like Pittsburgh sports, it's over.
It's gonna be a tough one, T-Bob. Real tough.
Have you ever heard of the foster system?
So Jenny, one of my brother's daughters, my brother has 4 kids now. Her godfather is Kevin Stefanski, who's now the head coach in Cleveland, right?
Yes.
I texted him as soon as he got the job, and I said, I hope you guys win every game and lose every game to the Steelers you ever play. Good luck. And he goes, your brother sent me the same text 45 seconds ago.
Also, I think the smart money's with y'all. Yeah. I think you're okay. I think there's a good chance the Browns will lose every game to the Steelers this year. I mean, my guy Big Ben is looking ready for the season, bro. Everybody is sleeping on him. They think his whole Amish look proves that he's fallen off. He's powering up. He's going full dwarf.
Thank you. I 100% agree. And we will get to Big Ben later on in the show. Thank you all for tuning in. Again, if you guys want to throw in some hypothetical athletes versus geek, throw it in the super chat if you can. I've got a couple written down, so thank you guys so much. This one I thought, and it's mostly because of how he entered the ring the one time, okay? And this is Smeagol versus Conor McGregor, okay? They're both like, when Conor McGregor came in the ring that one time?
Okay, you know the word I would say that comes to mind is rangy. You ever hear about when you read them, they say they're rangy, and they're just kind of like they got that thing going on a little bit.
Yes.
They got that reach.
Right? Smeagol can catch a fish with his bare hand. The guy's lived in caves. He's like in Rocky 3 when Mickey's like, he was born to hate. He's born to hate. And he's like doing pull-ups with cinder blocks. He's like punching holes in walls. And Rocky's just making out with Adrian by a creek in like a meadow. Of course he's going to lose that first round. Smeagol. Yeah. And then Conor McGregor lost it for a little bit. Then he comes back. Like, these are 2 gnashed out fighters that just hate everything.
And Smeagol, and the thing about Smeagol is Smeagol wins in the end. Like Frodo fails and Smeagol hops on Frodo and ends up biting his finger off. But the last person to touch the ring was Smeagol. Like, I know he died. I'm not even sure if he would count that as a loss, though. His focus was so singular. He was so driven that all he wanted was to get to hold that ring another time. He didn't even necessarily care if it meant that he died in the fires of Mount Doom. Where Conor seems to have gone a bit sideways, and he admits this himself. He kind of lost his way a little bit after the Floyd fight. The money came in, proper 12s kicking ass. He's making money hand over fist. During training, he's out drinking. He's out partying. You know what Smeagol's doing during training? Hating. He's just stoking the fires of rage constantly, eating raw fish, avoiding the sunlight. 24/7 dedication to the craft. There it is. That's all he's thinking about. You want to talk about eye on the prize? I mean, there's nobody like it. So I love Conor McGregor. I think Conor McGregor is an excellent lesson to all young fighters about how being a great fighter is literally just as much about being a showman, but not everybody can pull it off. A lot of that comes natural. That said, Smeagol, his focus, and don't forget this, Andy Serkis, shout out Andy Serkis, because his performance as Smeagol, as Gollum, captured an entire generation of the world. I was going to say of Americans, but really of the world. So no, I'm going to go the consummate underrated guy. I'm going to go Gollum here.
I think that your vocabulary in this round was absolutely perfect in rangy. I'm not sure if you know about this, but back in the day, and I'm sure that your dad could probably tell you about a church fair he went to. But back in the day, there used to be traveling people that would go around with orangutans, and you could get into a ring with an orangutan with boxing gloves and fight one. And my dad, when he was 18, got knocked unconscious by an orangutan at a church fair in Pittsburgh. Yes, I swear to God. I swear to God.
Oh my God, dude. Wait, so that's kind of crazy. So I'm reading a book right now. So I heard you paint houses, and it is the book that The Irishman is based off of. And he, the hitman, I can't remember his name, which is terrible, Frank, whatever, but he describes having to fight a kangaroo for money back in the day. So for whatever reason, this was just common. But the craziest thing, he talks about how he never saw, he kept hitting the kangaroo, and the kangaroo's tail is hitting him in the back of the head, and he thinks someone's sucker punching him. And the entire time he's hitting this kangaroo, he thinks like the ref is hitting him from behind. He eventually goes after the ref, knows the kangaroo's tail the entire time. Like, that's what happens when you don't have the internet.
Yes.
I mean, what do you want to do now? I mean, fuck it, dude. Look, this guy fights a kangaroo. We can get people to bet on that. Yep. We can make money. Let's do it.
It's Will Ferrell in Tropic, or not Tropic Thunder. Man, when
the Tropics. He plays for the Tropics.
You know, and he fights the band.
Jackie Moon. He plays for the Tropics. What is the name of the movie? Tropic. No, not Tropic. Fuck, no. I just did that same thing.
Chat, help us out. Chat, help us out. Will Ferrell is the basketball semi-pro. Semi-pro.
Thank you.
But it's the same thing. Is my dad said that the orangutan was rangy, and you couldn't get near him because his arms were too long, and he just knocked my dad straight out. Yeah.
Bro, have you seen an orangutan? Of course. Look at that reach. His fucking arms hang down to his toes. You can't get toe close there. Okay, so I see Ryan donated the chat. Derek Boogaard versus Jack the Destroyer. I got to be completely honest. I'm from the South. I'm not a big hockey guy. I had to look up who Derek Boogaard was.
Dude, Boogaard, I'm taking Boogaard all day. The guy could not be taken down. Like
by Drax the Destroyer.
Derek Boogaard would keep getting up. Like Drax the Destroyer he would just get tired before he could take out Derek Boogaard. Derek Boogaard, they called him the Boogeyman for a reason. When your name is the Boogeyman, if your superpower is the ability to scare the shit out of everybody, you can scare the shit out of Drax the Destroyer. Okay, and Drax the Destroyer, as we know from the first Guardians of the Galaxy, goes in guns blazing like Leroy Jenkins and usually ends up on the wrong end of the stick. He needs all his other buddies to help him. I'm taking Boogaard.
That's true. Drax's overconfidence gets him into trouble more than once. So I'm reading about Boogaard a little bit here on Wikipedia, and you're absolutely right. If your fighting prowess earns you the nickname of not only the Boogeyman, but the Mountie, AKA the Enforcer, just like the fucking law, there to lay it down. That's strong. That's strong. And I agree. The all I can go by as somebody who's not a big Marvel fan is like the comics. I didn't grow up reading them. I like the movies fine. But Drax in the movies, to your point, we know he's powerful. We don't always see how powerful we see it in moments, but he needs that support. Boogaard's out there one-on-one, putting knees to the ice for days.
Yes, exactly.
Also, R.I.P. A little bit of a sad story for Boogaard there.
Well,
dead at 28.
There's the same thing that happened with I read it. I just watched a documentary on Amazon about him. Another enforcer from the Red Wings back in the day. I can't remember his name. If you guys watch on Amazon, you know what I'm talking about. But same kind of a thing. He was just a total enforcer. He went to jail for like cocaine possession and then came back and played more NHL. Like, guy's an effing legend. Yeah.
Oh, dude. By the way, Derek Boogaard was 6'7". What does 6'7" look like on skates? How tall is Chara?
Chara's 6'8", so just this like.
Okay, so it's like the same size. Oh my god, yeah. I want to watch Chara versus Boogaard.
I know, and now that guys like the Enforcers aren't really in the league anymore because they don't. They're trying to get fighting out of hockey, which is kind of a bummer because I think that Probert. Thank you, BP Drum's talking about Probert. Probert's the guy's name who was the Enforcer basically before Boogaard, and then Boogaard came in and was like, yeah.
So that is, That's a bit of a double-edged sword. And I mean, or not double-edged sword. It's just maybe it's like a rock and a hard place situation where, yeah, man, look at these stories. Fighting every day, like for your job, it's not good. It's not good for you, right? But at the same time, that is such a classic cornerstone of hockey to the point where it is codified, right? Like when a knee hits the ice, it's over. That's a wrap. Yeah, I don't.
But those guys,
I don't know what the answer is there. I don't know if there's a right answer.
Yeah. Okay. Your turn, sir.
Oh, okay. Let me get back to my notes here.
You know, there's one on here I love, and there's another one on here I was hoping you would bring up.
Okay, then you choose, and I'm gonna let you go. What do you got?
I mean, I got to go with the obvious here: Big Ben versus Gimli.
Yeah, I mean, let's bring it down. Let's get into the beards, because that is and people off the bat. People are gonna say, but Big Ben's like 6'10" and Gimli's like 5'3". That's fine because look, I am 6'4", 300 pounds myself. But I am a dwarf, okay, or a hobbit, one or the other. But either way, height has nothing to do with it. It's about your character. Do you have that stoutness? Do you have that resilience? Do you have that stone skin? And when I look at Ben Roethlisberger, I see a dwarf.
Well said, man. I honestly, I think he would be offended by what we just said, but I couldn't be more excited from what you just said. Like, you just got me really excited because when I first saw this, I was like, there's no way Gimli loses to Roethlisberger. Gimli, in the Battle of Helm's Deep, you know, arguments can be made about who the MVP of the Battle of Helm's Deep is. Is it Legolas sliding down? Is it Gandalf coming, looking to the west, right? Is it Aragorn? Is it the elves that sacrifice basically their entire... I'm going to go with Gimli. When he tosses Gimli onto that bridge, without tossing Gimli onto the bridge, we may not have Helm's Deep anymore.
Yeah, completely fair. Also, for fans of the book and of the extended edition, who won the kill fight between him and Legolas? Gimli did. I can't remember the final score. I think it's 42-41. But there's actually a great scene in Extended Two Towers, which I don't know if there's ever been a movie that has improved as much with the added scenes as theatrical Two Towers versus extended Two Towers. And I'll fight that to my grave. But that said, Legolas, like, I got 41 and Gimli's sitting on a dead orc body with an axe in its head. He said, I'm sitting pretty on number 42. And then Legolas fires an arrow into him. And he's like, what? His leg twitched. We're tied. But that's the thing. I mean, 42 kills, one guy. No respawns, IRL, the 42, the infinite KD, not 42, the infinite kill death ratio. Yeah, Gimli's going to be tough, but Roethlisberger's tough too, man. Bursts onto the scene, couple Super Bowls early on.
Listen, he's hard to bring down. Everybody talks about it. His nickname's Big Ben. I will say this, though. Ben is very inconsistent. This we know. You know, like, there are some games, maybe like 3 or 4 weeks, he looks incredible, and then we go up against the Ravens, and he throws 3 picks, and one on the last drive of the game, we lose it. Yeah, but
Gimli gets drunk and kind of messes up. I mean, Gimli's a bit of a wild card as well, and sometimes his height comes into play. You think about something like he's not very good at riding horses. I can't imagine Ben Roethlisberger is very good at riding horses. In fact, we have a motorcycle accident to prove that he's maybe not the best in those situations. And even in something like the Warg attack upon the two tower, the lines to Helm Deep in the movies, Gimli, he's not a complete non-factor, but he's kind of taken out a little bit once that Warg falls on him. Like, he still snaps the orc's neck, and that's cool, and he still does a lot of cool stuff, but he's kind of pinned down for a lot of that fight, which, you know, Roethlisberger, sometimes he gets put in those same situations.
True. I think, again, based on my argument of his representation in the Battle of Helm's Deep, and something could be said about Santonio Holmes winning the MVP, but it was really Ben's MVP in Super Bowl 43. Okay?
I agree. But that was one of the best all-time. Like, I remember that from just like vividly from my childhood, that his toes touching in the corner of the end zone, the balls in execution on that throw and catch are gigantic. It's It's an all-time. It's a top 5 all-time throw catch.
And I was at that game. My only Super Bowl. It was like the greatest.
Oh, wow, no way.
Greatest sports night of my life, hands down, dude. Unbelievable. Somebody in here said so many Lord of the Rings. Yeah, well, clearly T-Bob's wearing a fucking wizard hat. We're going to talk Lord of the Rings here. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I can't help it. So, okay, look, in the end, though, the reason why I'm going to give it to Gimli is not just because I'm Lord of the Rings biased, so that's probably part. But you know what Gimli did with his bros? Even his bros from super different backgrounds, they stuck together. Gimli and Legolas, after all these battles, they went on to visit caves together and Mirkwood together, and they were boys for life. What happened to Ben and Le'Veon Bell? What happened to Ben and Antonio Brown? And yeah, they're volatile characters, but guess what? If an elf and an orc can get along, Ben should be able to get along with AB. So, like, in the end, unfortunately, that's it. I'm going with Gimli.
At this point, AB is an orc. I'm sticking with my boy Roethlisberger on this one. Our first disagreement so far.
Yep, nope, I'm not following you down that path, man.
All right, let's do 2 more, and then we'll do some rapid fires.
All right.
Your turn. Present.
Oh, okay. Let's go. And I'm guessing y'all. I don't know how y'all's college football crowd is, but let's go. Nick Saban versus Emperor Palpatine. 2 men that are incredibly similar in their will to dominate all of life. Obsessive, unrelenting. Evil, like willing to do whatever it takes in order to be on top at the end. That is Nick Saban. That is Emperor Palpatine to a T. This is a battle of a couple of evil heavyweights here, Josh.
Okay, listen, when we were talking about this earlier, I said, does the Emperor get his finger lightning or not? Now, I don't know if it's called finger lightning. It probably isn't. I'm not great with Star Wars terms, T-Bob, as you know. Guys,
just call Force lightning. That's it. Force lightning. You're good to go.
Force lightning. I don't think that there's anyone.
Yeah. Wait, tell your boy Ken that I'm still upset with him about his take on Last Jedi: Rise of Skywalker and him trying to shut me down trying to read the Rise of Skywalker novel. Me and Ken still got to have that conversation.
Man, I should like sneak attack Ken in a live stream. I don't know why I'm saying this live on a live stream because I'm just.
Oh my God. Yeah, just play the glass breaking. I'll just come in there. What's up, Ken? You thought you could be the last word on The Last Jedi? Well, let's have it out.
Okay. Nick Saban just got an email. More than the Emperor has. Okay.
Yeah, the Emperor doesn't have email. No email account. You can't find a Gmail account for Palpatine. This is what I'll say. You mentioned Force lightning. How do we know that Nick Saban doesn't have Force lightning? I've seen no proof.
What is it that Nick Saban goes into a room with that he's able to recruit year in and year out that the rest of this country seems to just listen, outside of the Alabama faithful, I don't think I like Nick Saban. So you got to imagine there's a lot of kids out there that don't like Nick Saban, and yet he comes in their living room and convinces their parents and for them to come to Alabama and play for him. Is it Force lightning? Does he have? These are not the droids you're looking for. Is he an actual Jedi?
Absolutely. I mean, yes, dude. You're hitting the nail on the head here. You don't manipulate people in the way that he does without some sort of extra normal power. So he definitely has that. And what he also has, and this is much like the Emperor, he has a track record of success. The Emperor worked his way from being a relatively low-level politician into chancellor, into giving emergency powers, then he becomes the Emperor. Nick Saban can sit in a room, and he went to he works his way up in Michigan State and Cleveland back in the day. But Nick Saban can sit in a room and he can tell recruits that every recruit that has committed to him since the year 2000, if they have stayed for 4 years, they have won a national championship. Think about being able to promise a recruit that. The same way the Emperor can say, come and rule the galaxy with me. I'll give you like an entire sector, an entire system like Nick Saban can guarantee you a national championship ring. I hate him.
I'm 100% on board with you, which is why in this battle, I mean, listen, the Emperor got pushed over a ledge by Luke. Saban beats Luke, no problem. I mean, Saban, he's definitely a Sith. Always two there are. Is it Saban Belichick? Sure. Are those our two Sith currently working right now?
That's, I mean, those are the parallels that I always see is without a doubt, it's Belichick and Saban.
Yeah. So I'm going to take Nick Saban over the Emperor. It took him 2.5 movies to make it back. And then he was just being fed like Wormtail in the first Harry Potter. You know what I mean? It's
the only problem is with saying that Saban would dominate Luke is the same way that one of the Emperor's chief problems or chief missteps was underestimating the power of love and redemption and trusting in the goodness of people. So too did Nick Saban. He didn't believe that a Cajun man born and raised in Cutoff, Louisiana could ascend to the cast iron throne and lead the LSU Tigers to a national championship through a message of love. One team, one heartbeat. That's what Coach O says at LSU, through a message of love and unity. He was able to conquer all, while Saban only seeks to destroy. Ultimately, I hate to do this, man, because I really do think Saban may be the best coach of all time. But the only reason I got to go with the Emperor is because I've always said this, and especially now that he came back, Rise of Skywalker, which I hate, but we're not getting into that. There has never been a more successful antagonist than what you saw Sheev Palpatine do. Think about the fact everybody thinks Yoda's so badass, right? We all think Yoda's so powerful, and he is. Yoda was taking orders to wage galactic war, resulting in the deaths of millions, billions even. Yoda was taking orders from the guy that he was supposed to be hunting down. Like, that's how next level Palpatine was manipulating his surroundings. Saban tried that. Ogeron gets the best of him this year. I'm giving the dub to Palp.
It's a solid, it's a solid argument. I didn't know that Coach O was from your dad's hometown. I had no idea.
So Coach O and my father, my old man used to play football as well back in the day for the Saints and the Falcons. They both grew up in Cutoff. They played high school football together. They were a year apart. Coach O was a year younger. They won state together. And then Ogeron commits to go play at LSU. He didn't like it. He got homesick. He quit on like one of the first days. He goes back home. He's digging ditches for the telephone company. And my old man hits him up and he's like, hey, come up to Natchitoches, Louisiana. My old man was at Northwestern State. Up in Natchitoches, and he goes up there. They end up being college roommates, and the rest is history. Now, Ed Ogeron is your college football national championship.
Dude, I love him. I love him. He just
the Swamp King.
It's awesome. I love it, and I had no idea the history behind that. It's the best, and your dad's the best too. I mean, one of my favorite dinners all time was just me and your dad shooting the shit about football. It's the greatest thing ever.
He can talk. I mean, dude, yes, he's got some war stories. If you're like a late 80s, early 90s football NFL fan, he's got some access that'll blow your mind.
As he said, he's like the two worst places to play were Pittsburgh in the warm weather and Pittsburgh on a cold day. I was like, I love that. I love that.
Great line.
Great. All right, let's do one more. This was my favorite one that you threw me because I kept thinking about someone for her. This is Simone Biles, Olympic champion. I would imagine now if the Olympics were coming back this summer, which they've been canceled, I think she would repeat. We got one more year, so 2021 when she comes back, Simone Biles versus Spider-Man. I think this is as close to as we come to athletic prowess and size of people that we've, I think Simone Biles, if she was given the opportunity, could jump and flip off just about anything, just like Spider-Man. Like, she is the human embodiment of Spider-Man.
Yeah, so this is where it becomes a bit interesting. I'm not entirely sure how to score this one. Is if you were to give Simone Biles Spider-Man powers, she would easily eclipse Spider-Man. Like she would be, because already as a, like, if Spider-Man's power set could take Peter Parker to what he is, and maybe this is where you say, oh, but you know, if like, what are we talking about here? Ultimate Spider-Man, where the webbing is in the actual arm? Are we talking about Spider-Man where you're having to build the canisters because then you need a bit of super intelligence as Parker has? Does Biles have that? I don't know. But if I'm saying, if I give her Spider-Man skills, and maybe even without webbing, the things that she could do would be astronomical. I mean, even what she's done in real life, 4 Olympic golds, 29 gold world championship medals. And Simone Biles, I love Peter Parker. I think Spider-Man's incredible. I don't know that he can stack up, because everybody that has stood up to Simone Biles has gotten slapped down.
She would be more powerful than you could possibly imagine. Exactly. Ryan Bertsamano makes a good point. I think it ultimately goes to their brain power. I think that in gymnastics, the brain power it takes as a human being to be able to do flips on a balance beam that's literally the size of a 2x4 is absolutely insane.
Well, how about this? Beyond just the brain power comes from that physical, the brain power to train for a moment where you build up for your entire life, but let's say a 4-year cycle where you have to win then, right? Your 4 years of Olympic preparation comes down to 1 2-minute routine. And if you mess up one thing, you're done. You want to talk about mental toughness? That is mental toughness right there.
I mean, here's the thing. You're talking about, I think there's maybe 2 or 3 Olympic sports where you come in, you've practiced day in and day out, hour upon hour upon hour, and one little thing goes wrong and it's ruined forever. Ice skating, gymnastics, and diving, right? Those are those flip sports based on judges' things. You could have nailed that dive 40 times in practice. You could have nailed that routine 100 times in practice. You hit one little edge on an ice skate on the wrong thing and an ice hits you and you fall and you've been the reigning world. It's over. It's over.
Done. What have you done for, it's the ultimate, what have you done for me lately sports cliche. Totally. Like, you're only as good as your last medal. I love Peter Parker. I really have been so shocked by how good the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies are. I thought I was kind of done with Marvel, and then Far From Home was great. Homecoming was so much fun. Michael Keaton, what a great bad guy. And so I got a lot of love for how they're positioning Holland and him kind of taking over as that Tony Stark maybe for the MCU, but he ain't on Simone's level yet. Simone's been there, done that. Maybe Parker gets there one day. He ain't there yet. Give me Simone Biles.
Give me, like, if we're talking about, you know, top 5, 10 Olympians all time for the United States, you're putting Simone Biles in the top 10, no problem.
Easy.
Obviously, you're putting Mark Phelps, a Spitz, a Mark Spitz. You're Phelps putting like yeah, you're putting Bonnie Blair in there, that kind of stuff. I didn't know this one. Harley Quinn's dad forced her to throw their Olympic qualifier so he could win a bet with the mob. Didn't know that. Fun fact.
Never knew that either, dude. That's crazy. I've heard the animated Harley Quinn series on the DC streaming first service is actually pretty fantastic. It's fully adult rated, which I didn't realize till somebody showed me a preview, which is what it is. I just think that's kind of a bold, interesting move for the DC animation studio to make a cartoon where they're dropping F-bombs constantly, because that's kind of like a narrow audience a little bit.
Yeah, no, like going R-rated. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I sometimes wish there was more blood and more violence in MCU movies or even DC movies, but then I'm fine that there isn't. Like,
what are they going to do with Deadpool? That'll be the interesting thing to see, right? Do they have I think they have the rights to Deadpool. Do they neuter Deadpool? Do they allow Ryan Reynolds to make the Deadpool 3 that he wants? I imagine they will, because, like, obviously all movie making is about the finances, and Ryan Reynolds has proven that his Deadpool movies will make you money.
Totally. I don't think you can muffle, no pun intended, Deadpool. I think you have to let him go full R.
A couple here that I like. Ryan saying he's not a fan of Tom Holland Spider-Man. The only Spider-Man I don't like the Andrew Garfield ones. They're really, I just didn't enjoy them. But I love Tobey Maguire. I've gotten more and more nostalgic for those as the years have gone on.
That Spider-Man 2 is a fantastic movie.
It's a good, 3 is not. Me and my wife rewatched it for fun the other night, and they make so many questionable script decisions in that movie, but Spider-Man 2 is damn good. I think the 2 trilogies in my life that have fallen off hardest is from Spider-Man 2 to 3, and then Matrix Reloaded to Matrix Revolutions, because I love Reloaded. I think Reloaded is a masterpiece.
I like, it's a weird decline for me on Matrix, whereas I love the first Matrix. I like Reloaded. Each time I watch it, I think I like it more. And
Reloaded gets better the more you see it. I'm telling you, the more you watch Reloaded, it's got The Last Jedi in it, where it's a bit like an onion. The more you watch it, you get more and more layers to it. Totally.
And but Revolutions to me almost is confusing. Like, I don't even know what I'm watching half the time. Revolutions. At one point, he basically becomes Blind Fury. I'm like, come on, guys. What the fuck?
The Wachowski brothers, the Wachowski sisters, excuse me, they lost their way a little bit. But I'm not going to lie. I'm really hyped to see them return to the Matrix universe. Like, I will absolutely watch the new Matrix movie that they're working on.
I think in future episodes we got to put Trinity up against some people, because we
can plumb the depths of Matrix characters, bro. I like I said, I went through a weird thing in college where whenever I would get like really drunk, like into the night, like I'm just in a bad way, let's lay in bed, some spinning, I would either watch Toy Story 1, or I would watch specifically the highway chase scene from Matrix 2 that starts in the Merovingian's mansion and then ends with Neo scooping up Morpheus. That 30-minute block it's up there. It's that and Face Off's opening 20 minutes as my favorite action movie sequences ever.
Every time I'm driving up the freeway, like up the on-ramp on an LA freeway, right? And I see that the stoplights aren't working, I think to myself, yeah, but Morpheus says the freeway is a death trap. And like, I just gun it. Into the freeway.
But then you see why, dude. Agents can just transform into anybody. They're fucking throwing cars left and right all over the place.
Yep. I think one of the things we're gonna have to do down the line is like Keanu Reeves as John Wick versus Keanu Reeves in The Replacements.
I'm a big Shane Falco guy. I love John Wick, but it's going to be tough for anybody to beat Keanu. Well, I don't know. I guess Neo is still my favorite Keanu. Although I want to see what Keanu is all about in this new Cyberpunk 2077. You seen that? Video game CD Projekt Red.
I saw the previews for it. All those kind of funny guys flipped out for it. So.
I'm hyped for it, dude. Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. And he's also just beloved by the internet because he does all kind of great things. Like he donated all of his bonuses or something to, I think, the stunt crews from the Matrix. Like he has all kind of great anecdotal human evidence for why Keanu's like actually a good person as well. We love you, Keanu.
Okay, so let's do some rapid fire. I'll just read down the list of the ones we all submitted and then some of the fan submissions. We're just going to real quick one answers and then we'll get out of here. Thanks everybody for joining in the chat. And Ryan Burzmano, so our original idea was just do Lord of the Rings characters versus athletes. That was our original idea, but then we kind of went off script.
Yeah, my bad. I kind of spun out when I was on that extended quarantine walk this afternoon in the neighborhood. No, I lost you. Hold on.
No, because
you're back.
I said the same thing. It's fine. I was like, let's do rapid fire. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I got you.
Gotcha. All right. Muggsy Bogues and Spud Webb versus Frodo Baggins and Samwise Gamgee.
I love this matchup so much, but obviously people know me. I can't go against Frodo and Sam.
I don't think there are two more underrated duos in the history of movies and sports, but Spud Webb in that dunk contest in, what is it, 87? I got to go Muggsy and Spud.
Also, my wife is 5'3". Muggsy Bogues was 5'3" playing in the NBA. What are we talking about, dude? That should be impossible.
Oh, it's so good. Okay, Black Widow versus Ronda Rousey.
Give me Ronda. I'm going to go back to the singular argument. Like, regardless of revisionist history you want to say about Ronda Rousey, she brought women's fighting to the forefront. There were great female superheroes before Black Widow, anti-heroes. There will be great ones after. Give me Ronda.
Ronda as well. Brilliant. No, we did that. Sorry. Howard the Duck versus the Oregon Duck mascot.
Okay, Howard the Duck is a cultural blind spot from me. The only thing I've ever actually seen him in is the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. That said, I hate the Oregon Duck mascot. I think he's a bum. Pac-12 football is the weakest shit I've ever seen. Give me Howard the Duck easy.
Absolutely, Howard the Duck. The crappy one in the 1980s movie and the one from the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'll take them both times. That duck and his like gumption to be such a like cocky prick.
That's what I've heard. I've heard he's just like a dick. It's like, what a weird movie that got made. What a fascinating time.
All right, two of the kindest giants on the planet, Chewbacca versus Shaq.
I'm an LSU guy. I'm also a big Star Wars guy. Shaq does MMA fighting. I'm going to side. Well, they're both kind of Renaissance men, though, because Chewbacca's a great pilot, among other things. At the end of the day, I will side with Chewbacca because a lot of Shaq's power comes from size, and Chewbacca would be even bigger than Shaq.
I'm going to take Chewbacca because I think Shaq is like Chewbacca does have a mean side. I've never seen a mean side of Shaq ever.
That's fair, but I mean, you saw what he did to those Kings teams back in the day. You saw what he did to Vlade Divac. That was pretty fucking mean. I mean, he used to body that dude.
Well said. Legolas versus Steph Curry.
I got to go with Steph. I think Legolas is a beast, obviously, and he is among the premier Wood Elf warriors. But there ain't never been a sharpshooter like Steph Curry. My man is a video game come to life. One of the most terrifying feelings in sports is caring about an NBA team that is playing Steph Curry. And then every time the ball leaves his hand, that like 1 second when it's in the air, your stomach's like, I look away from the TV half the time. It's an important moment. I look away and I tell myself he made it. And then, so if he does miss, I'm like pleasantly surprised and I'm way happier about it.
This is my buddy, Cal. He's from Johnson City, Tennessee. He's a legend. He said, I'm 6'3" and black. Can't dunk or dribble a ball and run at the same time. Dudes is an effing legend. He's the best. Just the
Shout
best.
out Case Portal.
Okay. I'm going to go Legolas because you sold me on him. You said you're a premier woodsman.
He was a premier Wood Elf warrior. He is. I'm not saying he's just some like scrub. He's among the best, but he ain't Steph Curry, son. The Splash Bros. Steph Curry. Don't forget Steph Curry, because some ignoramus didn't vote for him, should have been a unanimous MVP. Or maybe he was. No, he was. People haven't voted for LeBron. He was a unanimous MVP. That's insane.
So shout out to Ryan Bersmano. Thanks for the donation again, buddy. You're the legend. Okay, these are real quick. These are from fans. The Rock versus Kraven the Destroyer. I think The Rock wins anytime, anywhere.
The Rock, we mentioned being a showman. He's the man. Give me Dwayne.
Legolas versus Sidney Crosby, a Pittsburgh Penguin. I'm obviously going Crosby. Nobody can take his puck handling skills. I don't think that you can put Legolas on ice.
You can't put Legolas on ice, but he can slide on a shield down stone steps while firing off 4 arrows and getting kills with everyone. Get the hell out of here. Legolas lives on ice. You put him on ice, he'll do a triple Lutz like his first time on the ice. Give me my guy Legolas.
Legolas takes it. Mike Tyson versus Nightwing.
I think the raw power of Tyson, because look, man, Nightwing's a fighter, Tyson's a fighter. I think Tyson's gonna catch little Tim Drake on the chin, or no, he's Dick Grayson gonna catch Dick on the chin. And he's gonna be a wrap.
Let me tell you something. I've watched a lot of old Mike Tyson fights and training montages on YouTube from like his heyday. There isn't a scarier man on the planet. Mike Tyson. Brock Lesnar versus the Punisher. The Punisher
I've never been the biggest Brock Lesnar fan, but I mean, yeah, this is where it gets a bit weird, right? Because the Punisher's superpower is essentially weapons. So I mean, yeah, if they're weaponless, I know the Punisher can fight very well, and I'm sure he would get dirty as possible. But I feel like Brock would have an advantage there.
Brock Lesnar kind of choked in the UFC. By the way, Haskell 420 says, Josh Macuga, got us add in. Arnie Palmer could not hit Magneto with golf balls. Magneto would bend the golf shaft around Arnie's head. However, Arnie does have a huge collection of hickory golf clubs from the way back when.
I've got you now, Magneto. Look at this, pure cypress. You don't stand a chance. Then Magneto just like lifts up a truck and throws it at Arnold Palmer.
I'm taking Punisher. I think Punisher is just his right fist.
Yeah. It's Punisher. I agree, dude. Screw Brock Lesnar. I don't know why I was making a case for him. Go Punisher.
Dude, this was a blast. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for spending your evening with me. I really appreciate it. Shout out to your show. Give the people where they can find you, all that kind of fun stuff.
Okay, what's up? I'm on Twitter at TBob53. You see it right there. I host a radio show in South Louisiana. We cover a lot of LSU. So if you're into that sort of thing, it's on 1045ESPN.com. And tomorrow morning, we will be talking to our guy, Joey Burrow. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to talk to the legend.
Do you think he plays in Cincinnati next year?
Yes, I think he starts year one, and I do believe him to be a generational transformational guy. Like, I think that he actually, maybe not, what is success in Cincinnati here in year one? I think he makes him relevant within a few years.
I have this sneaking suspicion that he's going to start in Cincinnati and then he's going to get real butthurt because they keep just taking away talent from him. He's going to end up in a black and yellow uniform on the shores of Three Rivers in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, leading more Super Bowl Pittsburgh Steelers.
It's the most AFC North Pittsburgh hopeful thing I've ever heard in my life. Look, you are right about Cincinnati being cheap bastards, but Burrow has already he's already started to apply pressure in that regard. He told them they wanted to keep AJ Green. They keep AJ Green. He had quotes the other day about how he's not a loser. He's never been a loser. He doesn't want to lose. Like, here's the thing. The dude is sociopathic. He will work his ass off to the point where, like, he's going to make them do right by him. Or you're right. If he feels like they screwed him, he'll be like, all right, I'm going somewhere where they're committed to paying.
I love your confidence. It scares me that he's going to be in the AFC North that close because he is. I don't doubt you, man. I watched
seven top 10 dubs, 60 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. You saw the games we were texting every college football Saturday. It's crazy.
Thank you all for watching. Thanks for tuning in. T-Bob, you're the best, dude. Make sure you guys check out Eating History Wednesdays, 10 p.m. on History Channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to do this again. And if T-Bob wants to come back sometime down the line, I would love to have him. Anything. Give my best to the missus, and congrats on the soon-to-be daughter next week, right?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, next Tuesday, one girl will become 2. I'm going to have my own personal Anna and Elsa, which something we have to get into sometime. Daenerys versus Elsa.
I love this.
Because you are talking about a battle that will shake the foundations of the fan fiction earth. Its potential is massive.
Love it. Thank you guys all for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. Let me put this up here so that we can end it. Bing.